Hi, everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to be talking about asset management and introducing everybody to MasterControl Asset Excellence. This is the latest addition to our software ecosystem designed for regulated industries. My name is Caitlin Minton Smith, and I am a senior product marketing manager at MasterControl, and I will be acting as the moderator for today's webinar. I'm joined by Greg Freitag, an expert on asset control, maintenance, and calibration, who will be presenting today's webinar. But before we get started, let's cover a few housekeeping items. If you need any assistance during today's broadcast, there is a chat function at the bottom of your screen. Send us a message there and we will work to resolve any tech issues. There's also a Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. Please use that to ask questions during today's webinar. Please feel free to ask questions anytime, but we will have a dedicated time for Q&A after the presentation. With that, I am delighted to hand it over to Greg.
Thanks, Caitlin. As Caitlin said, I'm Greg Freitag. I'm a business development sales leader here at MasterControl and a resident asset management enthusiast. I'm based out of New York, and I recently joined the MasterControl team in February of this year when my previous company, Qualler, was acquired. I couldn't be more excited to be here, and let's go over what we're going to discuss today. Today, we're going to cover the unfortunate reality of asset management from a digitization perspective, look at digital transformation and how it affects asset management, look at a brief introduction of asset excellence, and then take you on a product demo. The shocking reality is the most common approach we see is spreadsheets being used to manage assets and their corresponding maintenance with a physical file cabinet, desktop, or shared folder housing critical service records. And it's not just the little guys in R&D or academia that are procrastinating change. It's scaled, sophisticated brands with recognizable logos and products in the marketplace. Similar to the adoption of AI tools, a company-level strategy and governance around asset and service management is a great place to start on the road to driving change. Looking at the image displayed on the screen, it's quite apparent that a system to centralize and streamline the sheer complexity of equipment management is necessary, especially when managing manufacturing operations and complex in-process equipment. Employing a manual or paper-based system means your organization is openly committing to risk in the process. While digitization efforts may often feel like heavy lifting up front to get away from spreadsheets and desktop folders all the way to automation and desktop notifications, it's an opportunity to ensure a scalable state of compliance from this day forward. Whether it's to drive cost savings, increase operational efficiency, unlock access to otherwise invisible data, or reduce downtime and operational risk, driving digitization and modernizing tech stacks in life sciences is high on the list for most organizations, regardless of size or scientific progress. These goals are often hindered or delayed based on the heavily regulated and complex nature of the work in the health sector, as mistakes or gaps can have detrimental impacts from a risk perspective and from a patient outcomes perspective. So technology needs to be heavily vetted before being introduced into these environments to protect everyone. Let's take a look at the journey most life sciences organizations face on the road to digitization. As you can see, the road to digitization is littered with acronyms and choices. From clinical trial data to customer relationship management, there's a plethora of processes across the organization that require support in the digitization journey. Prioritization is and will always be a balancing act. Which teams or departments or processes will benefit the most from an enhanced tech stack right now versus later? For each tool, building requirements, evaluation of offerings, all the way through implementation and adoption requires focus and commitment from organizations to ensure the intended value is unlocked and to justify those efforts. As we stated in the beginning of the presentation, we've spoken to hundreds of life science companies over the past number of years, and digital transformation in the asset management realm is far too often procrastinated. The presumption is that everything is fine or that the spreadsheet is sufficient, until a negative trigger event in the form of deviations, CAPAs, audit findings, or recalls, then it's a race to implement a fix to address the issue. And if everyone on the call is like me, we probably don't do our best work when we're rushing. MasterControl's focus is to absolve companies of manual asset and service management within the regulated organization, from induction all the way through deactivation, instilling best practices with scalable, repeatable processes regardless of company size. The impacts of delaying digitization can be very significant to a company, again, regardless of their stage or structure. Those negative trigger events we mentioned have considerable impacts on an organization, both reputational and financial. For example, companies facing FDA oversight. 7 of the top 10 FDA 483 observations are related to equipment, procedures, and QA steps that could be avoided with a CMMS in place. These observations can become a matter of public record if not addressed in real time. Additionally, our customers in the life science space indicate that CAPA and deviation investigations cost them approximately $18,000 per occurrence. Controlling these incidents and their corresponding budgetary impacts is vital for operational stability. The audit process should be a normal exercise versus an exam we need to stay up all night for to prepare. Preparation and execution timelines are drastically reduced when asset records are digital and centralized. Digital audit trails and QMS documents tied to workflows or maintenance activities always act as safeguards and irrefutable proof of a culture of compliance. Without these, it's much harder to manage or measure. Now let's talk a little bit about asset excellence and how we got here today. Asset excellence was born in a Southern California pipette lab as Qualler in 2014 in an effort to streamline equipment and calibration management processes, offering a modern cloud-based user interface that seamlessly connects all participants involved in the asset lifecycle journey. From basic visual inspections to complex accredited calibrations, over 1 million service events have been performed on the platform by trusted customers around the globe. Asset Excellence's feature set has been 100% customer-driven and innovation-focused, with new tools and updates being deployed regularly to ensure our customers extract maximum value from the platform. In February 2025, Qualler was acquired by MasterControl and became Asset Excellence, standing alongside industry-leading quality management and manufacturing execution solutions backed by 30 years of experience. The Asset Excellence platform works to ensure a state of 24/7 audit readiness, centralizing key compliance data in a validated platform and leveraging notifications to draw attention to issues in real time. Organizations can unify their approach to asset and service management with a modern user interface, dynamic maintenance plans, and vendor portal access for third-party service providers. Data is one of the most important elements of Asset Excellence. With every data field being actionable and reportable, organizations can gain meaningful insights into their equipment and service relationships that would be otherwise invisible in a spreadsheet-based approach. Data can be made available via in-platform reporting dashboards or raw data export for analysis with external tools like Tableau, Snowflake, or Power BI. Auto generation of work orders, predetermined approval workflows, and advanced notification engine allow Asset Excellence to work to remove time-consuming manual steps from your company's processes. Overall, asset management is an organization-level process. It's important to highlight that asset management is not just a facilities task, not just an operations problem, but it impacts the entire business. A CMMS is intended to be a business tool that should be used to bring teams together around the asset management process. From supporting end-user scientists who just need to know if a tool is safe to be used in an experiment, all the way to providing equipment-level financial data to financial teams working to build a strategic equipment procurement strategy, a CMMS houses powerful data that can impact the entire organization. I could talk about this all day, but I'm sure everyone has other things to do. So instead of telling you about it, I'd love to show you how the Asset Excellence platform functions.
All right. Now it's the time everyone's been waiting for. It's time to take a tour of the Asset Excellence platform and highlight 5 key features designed to deliver immediate value. First and foremost, a centralized dashboard for real-time compliance awareness organization-wide. The dashboard is what every user sees right when they log into the platform. What you'll notice as we migrate through the platform is the panes on the left and right-hand side will adapt based on the asset pool that's in view. On the left-hand side, we get aggregated maintenance information about the pool in view, as far as assets being due, past due, as well as open requests. On the right-hand side, we have the toolbox, giving us quick actions to take on the specific asset pool, such as registering a new asset, assigning a new maintenance plan, or creating a service request. This dashboard provides a clear picture of status and demands from each location, proving valuable to both site-level and corporate-level personnel looking to understand the current state of compliance and control. We can use filters and assignment to isolate specific regions based on purpose. For instance, if you have manufacturing sites, we can assign them as production sites, and using this filter, isolate those in view. Additionally, if you assign service hubs to certain locations where facilities or operations teams are operating, we can isolate that as well using these filters. As you can see on the screen, the colored indicators draw attention to immediate tasks that are currently due or past due and make it easy to drill down to isolate those specific assets to take action on. For example, if I click on these assets past due at the biotech location, it's going to bring me into the asset manager and isolate these 3 assets that are past due, allowing me to select them and send them for service in just a few clicks. Next, let's dive into user administration to take a look at notifications. Configured at the employee level, users can choose from a long list of notification triggers and can be notified via email or SMS. From asset status to inventory thresholds to service request related reminders, let the system do the heavy lifting and keep your teams organized. These reminders have dynamic configurability to ensure critical events cannot be missed and support a culture of compliance. Next, we'll jump into the Asset Manager to review the wealth of critical information we store about each asset under management. By drilling down on the asset ID from the Asset Manager, we can reveal a wealth of critical lifecycle information about every asset in the platform. This Info tab acts like a digital cover sheet, feeding data from some of these other tabs so that end users can grab the information that they want in as few clicks as possible. We have information about assigned users as well as custodians of the asset site and location information all the way down to the drawer level, the corresponding maintenance plan or maintenance plans that are assigned to this specific device, as well as classification, lifecycle, and warranty information to support the overall lifecycle management process. Maintenance plans are the binding element between assets, their partners, and process for maintenance inside the organization. We can assign maintenance plans to this device based on pre-configured maintenance plans that we built during your implementation process, or we could create a brand new maintenance plan here right from this screen. Maintenance plans will support any process from visual inspections to complex calibrations. The Lifecycle tab is going to have lifespan and depreciation information about this specific asset, as well as referencing the cumulative service costs spent on this device. When we talk about 24/7 audit readiness, the History tab is the main ingredient. This is where all service events from the point of induction reside in the system, with detailed records as well as copies of any certificates or other information that corresponds with that particular service event. The Role tab is where we assign assets in the system for use as a reference standard for calibration and maintenance activities. The Attributes tab allows us to create custom field and attributes assigned to this particular asset for tracking and reporting that may not be specific to every user. There's an asset level change history on every single asset profile that identifies when values are changed, what the new value is, who made those changes, when, and if we have change control enabled on these fields, they can require a reason why those changes have been made for approval or denial. Next, let's talk about data and connectivity. In the presentation, we talked a lot about invisible or inaccessible data when employing spreadsheet or paper-based approaches to asset management. With Asset Excellence, we provide several vehicles to ensure users have access to this critical data for analysis. First off, each field and data point inside the platform is actionable and reportable. Customers can gain access to that data in two ways. First, as you see on the screen, our in-platform dashboard reporting that generates reports in Excel and PDF formats. We have a long list of templates, or you can build custom reports during the implementation process to support your business. Additionally, access to a raw data feed transmitted on the frequency of your organization's choosing is something that was heavily requested based on the number of our customers having data analysis teams who want to interact with the system data and their preferred analysis tools, such as Snowflake, Tableau, and Power BI. Furthermore, we can share data and connect to other mission-critical software platforms like ERPs and ELNs via our open API architecture, making it easy to integrate your tech stack and avoid multiple logins and multiple user licenses when they're not necessary. Finally, we take a look at the service side of the platform to see how Asset Excellence helps internal facilities and metrology teams complete complex processes efficiently. Asset Excellence's service model allows users to manage work requests, both planned and unplanned. The platform makes it easy to generate service orders, assign technicians, manage quality approval workflows, and track completion status. You can create task-specific maintenance and calibration forms, as well as custom certificates and labels using QR or barcode technology. Best of all maintenance activities and records are tied to the corresponding asset profile inside the platform. Additionally, external service vendors also receive access to a digital portal to share certificates and receive service requests. To summarize, Asset Excellence provides centralized dashboards for real-time awareness organization-wide, advanced notification engine to drive just-in-time behaviors, comprehensive asset profiles for every asset under management, access to valuable data and connectivity, both through reporting and integrations, and a service module that streamlines service delivery and centralizes critical maintenance data.
Not everyone is starting at spreadsheets. Some organizations have taken steps on the journey to digitization, but potential gaps or opportunities still exist. For example, organization level versus site level strategy. While it's good to start somewhere, organization level strategies are where companies are going to have the greatest impact. Some companies have different CMMS platforms at every different lab or location. Additionally, some organizations have the same CMMS, but different versions across their network, making data normalization and insights at the corporate level very hard or time-consuming to deliver. Additionally, most life science companies have relationships with one or multiple service vendors. Service vendors often provide free CMMS tools that are limited to the equipment that they directly service. Having more than one vendor means this data continues to be siloed and controlled by the service relationship itself. Ownership of data and access to reporting is incredibly important in understanding your maintenance program and the value of your service provider relationships. Additionally, there are industry agnostic CMMS solutions that may feel good at an earlier stage in a company's scientific development, but may not be able to scale with the sophistication of the company's science. Validation, 21 CFR Part 11 compliance, and a change log are critical requirements in the life science space that many of these cheaper, easy to buy platforms do not offer. Why set your teams up for a second project or a second implementation if it's not necessary? Finding a solution that scales with your organization is important in future proofing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Greg, for showing us the Asset Excellence platform. It's so cool every time I get to see this as somebody who's been with MasterControl for quite some time, to see how much synergy there is between our quality and manufacturing and how what we are really our goals have been for so long, and see that really coming to life in this asset area with Asset Excellence, formerly known as Qualler. We did get some questions while you were presenting, so let's dive right into those before we close out for the day. So, the first question is, are we able to buy Asset Excellence and then host it on our own internal server?
Great question. Asset Excellence is a cloud-based only offering. However, raw data feeds can be set up and provided on a routine basis for companies who require that and want that extra level of security and backup when it comes to their data.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think we see a lot of that now. Greg, I don't have as much information about the asset space, but do you feel like that's something that we're really seeing more and more of is these cloud-based products, or is that something that kind of sets Asset Excellence apart?
I believe that migration to the cloud has been something that has been happening in lots of other industries over the past 15 years. But like we said in the beginning of the presentation, life science industry really needs to make sure the technologies are vetted and safe to protect consumers and the organization. So the cloud in the last number of years in the life science space has really become a trusted resource. And we've seen more companies migrating away from on-prem solutions for that reason. There's robust security policies and knowledgeable IT teams that have made sure that any platforms that these companies are operating on that are cloud-based are secure and that's able to be proven.
Yeah, awesome. Next question. How long does the implementation process usually take for an asset management solution like this?
Generally, that will vary based on scope and complexity of the specific project, whether it's one small lab or a multi-site global operation, and what levels of service are being performed internally. Those are going to be the key drivers behind project length, but on average, we see about 3 to 6 months from kickoff to go live for CMMS projects.
Okay, awesome. And a follow-up from me on that, actually. Um, do you guys find or have you found that really starting with a digital solution can hasten the implementation process? rather than trying to migrate from a paper-based or manual solution?
Overall, starting from a digital position is going to make the ongoing efforts much easier for the customer, because the minute that any assets are inside that platform, that becomes day one for the future. So starting best practices, regardless of scale, is really going to help them get into this new mode, and be able to demonstrate the values for the rest of the organization on the outcomes of making that particular change.
Okay, thank you. Next question. Does AX support multiple excuse me, I can't read. Does AX support multiple languages for different locations simultaneously? I'm not sure how they're asking this, but does AX, I guess, first have multi-language support, and then I guess can everybody be interacting with the system at once using different languages?
Yes, absolutely. Asset Excellence has a language localization feature that some of our global customers are utilizing today, that have United States-based sites, some Mexico-based sites, European sites, all using the platform at the same time. That language can be set at the individual user level, uh, to accommodate a global presence.
Okay. And then the next one is, are we able to integrate with other software solutions, such as quality management for SOPs and training documentation? Apologies again, inability to read. Or do you only integrate with master control software?
Great question. Asset Excellence has open API architecture that allows us to connect with any other tools in your tech stack that also have open API. Uh, as well, we are natively integrated with Master Control's suite of offerings, including MX and QX.
Okay. All right. It does not look like we have any other questions coming in. So if you want to advance, Greg. All right. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank Greg and everybody who attended this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are, for joining us today for our webinar. I did want to call out that we are going to be participating in a webinar with one of our partners, Precision ISO, Dustin Williams, on June 24th, so just next week. And Greg will be joining Dustin at that webinar to talk a little bit deeper about compliance and equipment and asset management. You'll see here ISO 17025 and ISO 9001. So if you want to dive deeper into just generally these areas in equipment and asset management, this is a really, really awesome opportunity to do so. Please, take a screenshot of this QR code or snap it with your phone and register, and you'll get to hear more from Greg. So that's always super fun. With that, we are going to close. I want to thank everybody for attending. Again, extend my heartfelt thanks to Greg for joining us today to present a bit on asset management. And we hope that everyone here learned something or is taking away some good information on how their organization might be able to embrace a more digital approach. Thank you and have a wonderful day.